What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we go. Gonna do something a little different today. We're gonna go over some sports betting tips, or really just over/unders on what the Las Vegas Superbook has on teams in the NFL, what their win totals will be. You got the over and unders out. We have all 32 teams, and we'll go through all of them. We're gonna start at the bottom with the Jets, I believe, who are picked to only win 6 games. Oh no, the Browns. And okay, so there's some. We'll start up there. We'll start at the bottom. We'll move our way to the end. I'm going to throw out some who I think is going to win the division as of right now. This is through 2 weeks. The third week of preseason starting tonight. The Browns and the Eagles are playing tonight. So Baker Mayfield, the number 1 overall pick, and the Browns playing the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles tonight in the preseason start of week 3. So we'll go over that. Like I said, I'm going to throw out some division winners, throw out some who I think is going to possibly meet in the AFC and NFC championship game as of now. I'm going to throw out some betting tips, like on these over and unders, some some quick hitters, and things that I think are good bets for you if you're into that. I mean, whatever. And then we'll go over some what I believe is the biggest question mark for each team. A couple of these teams I know a little more about and a little more into these teams. I'm personally a Broncos fan, so when we get to the Broncos, we're going to have a pretty big spiel because that's my team. It's who I watch. It's who I like. It's who I know about. And I know about that division because, like I said, I watch pretty much every game in that division every year. So I know more about that division. We'll go through that. I know quite a bit about the big picks in the draft and stuff like that because, like I said, I'm just a sports fan in general. We'll be doing these, try to do 2-3 videos a week like this. MLB, NBA, NFL, like this one's NFL, NHL, I'm a hockey fan. We'll go over everything, boxing, UFC. If y'all want to see it, drop it down in the comment section down there, and I'll go over it. I mean, we'll add this along with all the gaming stuff I do, Fortnite, Clash of Clans, stuff like that. Just a little change on the channel. Try to get a few more followers, a few more subs. Just see what we can do. So let's get started. We'll start with the Browns. At the under and over, this says 6. I believe it has dropped to 5.5. The Browns are actually the betting Super Bowl favorite of the public right now. They're not the betting favorite, but they are the betting the team bringing in the most money in Vegas to win the Super Bowl, which is not smart. They're going to be a lot better than they have been in the past. They're going to win some games. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not going to make the playoffs. But that 6 games is a very, very interesting mark. If it's 5.5, I'm smashing the over. I mean, I'm smashing the over on 5.5. I believe they're a 7 to 8 win team, depending on how much Tyrod Taylor plays and how much Baker plays. Put it in there, whatever you think. I personally think if Tyrod plays, they're 8 and 8. If Baker plays, they're closer to 6 and 10 because he's younger. He's going to make more mistakes. He's going to throw more interceptions. My big thing here is the Browns, for all you fantasy fans out there, pound Nick Chubb early in fantasy drafts for a, I'm not saying go take him with your first pick, but the Browns offensive line is actually very underrated. They can run the ball. They're going to be able to run the ball very well. Nick Chubb's a big back. He's going to pound it in there. Hugh Jackson is known for that power run. And what makes Tyrod Taylor good? A great running game. What has he had the last 3 years with the Bills? LaShawn McCoy and probably the best offensive run blocking line in the league. They're just nasty up there in Buffalo on that offensive line run blocking. And that's how Tyrod kept them in games. They, he's going to get some first downs with his legs. You can hand it off, and he's great in play action. He's a very accurate quarterback. Big move here. I could see if somebody gets hurt, I could see Tyrod Taylor on the move. If they start out 0-4 and the fans and the owner really start pushing for Baker to play, they need to recoup some picks. They need to build that defense. They've kind of solidified the offensive side of the ball if they hit on the quarterback, and Baker's still a question mark as he's not started in the game, but if they hit on him, he's a first-round pick. He's the first overall pick, and if they hit on him, that's a big thing there. You get the quarterback, you got some weapons, some legit weapons on the outside. They need to solidify that defense so they could look to get, Tyrod Taylor's probably worth the second or third round pick when inevitably somebody gets hurt. We've heard this come out with the team we're about to come up to here in the next couple in the Jets with Teddy Bridgewater. Probably worth a second round pick and an offensive lineman. If Cleveland could get a second round pick and a starting defensive tackle or something for Tyrod at week 4 or 5, and they're 0-4 already, Hugh Jackson's going to get fired. I think he's going to get fired anyway. I don't think there's any way they can win enough games this year to keep his job. So that's a viable trade chip there. Move next to the Cardinals at 6 wins. I just don't think they're that good. I'm 6 wins. I think that's about where they're at, honestly. Vegas puts out these numbers and they aren't made off winners, so they will really want you to bet that over on that 6 wins. But who knows if Bradford's going to be healthy all year. You got Josh Rosen, who's young. Everybody thought he was the most ready coming out. Hasn't looked that great in the preseason. Sam Bradford's looked a lot better if he can stay healthy. But they're bringing back one of the best players in the league in David Johnson. So what is that worth? 2-3 wins, but they also lost Honey Badger on defense. They still got Patrick Patterson, but that defense is getting older. Those receivers are getting older. Although I do think they got the steal of the draft in Kirk out of A&M coming out as a wide receiver. I think he's going to be really good and could have a dynamic duo there for a long time, Josh Rosen and Christian Kirk. So I'm thinking under for this year because I think Sam Bradford will get hurt. I think Josh Rosen will have to play early and play often, and I just don't think he's ready to lead a team to more than 6 wins. I think 6 is right where they're going to be. The Bills, another rookie quarterback is going to start week 1. Put money on it right now. Josh Allen is going to start week 1, the quarterback out of Wyoming. Got drafted this year. Everybody thought he was the least ready of the top tier outside of Lamar, the first round quarterbacks. Thought he was the least ready. He was the least accurate in college. Looks like good coaching. Jordan Palmer, Carson Palmer's brother, has really coached him up, really worked with him all summer, and man, his accuracy through the first 2 preseason games has been crazy, and he has the arm to show off, man. And so I think the Bills are going to have a strong running game. They're going to have a pretty decent defense. So 6 games, I think you're going over. I think they're going to be right at 6. You're either going to push or go 1 over. I think they're 7-9 to 6-10. So if that number moves down to 5.5 with Josh Allen starting week 1, I'm pounding it because I think they're going to get 6 wins. If it stays at 6, I think I might stay away from that bet because I think 6 is where they're going to be at, and it's a push to put money on someone to go over 6 wins if they're going to get 6 wins. So if it goes to 6.5, I'm going under. I really think 6 wins is a great number for them. Like I said, Vegas knows what they're doing. The Jets, Sam Darnold, another one, could start week 1 if the Jets want to go out and move Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is a viable starter. I'm a Broncos fan. I wish the Broncos would trade for Teddy Bridgewater or trade for Tyrod Taylor. I think Case Keenum's good, but I think those two are better options. They're more accurate. They're younger. They have better track records. But so if Sam Darnold starts, 6 wins, with Teddy, they're probably an 8-win team. With Sam Darnold, they're probably a 6-win team. So how many games do you think Sam Darnold's going to start? How many do you think Teddy's going to start? That right there is where you're going to go. I've also seen that they're kicking the tires on Khalil Mack. They go get Khalil Mack, they're going to have to trade Teddy. They get Khalil Mack, that defense is solid. They have a legit player at all 3 levels, pass rusher, defensive interior, and safety. Jamal Adams is a legit safety. They go get him, put Sam Darnold out there, try to use the Rams strategy and build early while Sam Darnold's on a cheap contract. they could make some noise, and they could win 7 or 8 games. So that's another one I might be looking at the over. And everybody's like, "Oh, well, you're pounding the over on all these," but I mean, it's just what I'm thinking right now. And what I've seen through the preseason. Here's one that's going to go under. The Bears. I think the Bears are awful. I don't like their receiving core. I think they reached on Mitch Trubisky. I think it's going to be a huge reach in a couple years, and everybody's going to be like, they took him over Deshaun Watson. And I don't think that Deshaun Watson's going to blow up like everybody else does, but Deshaun Watson's going to be a solid starter for 10 years in this league, as long as he doesn't get hurt again. And I think Mitch Trubisky was a huge reach. I think they're at 6.5 by Vegas. I think they're going to win 4 to 5 games. I just don't like that. That defense is young and doesn't have great players around. And then you got Trubisky on the offensive side. They did get a new offensive-minded head coach, so we'll have to see about that. But I think they're a 5-win football team. And 6.5, I'm pounding that under on them. The Dolphins, another one. I'm not high on Tannehill. I'm just not. They lost Ndamukong Suh, and I don't know what that defense is going to be like. I think Adam Gase is a good offensive coach, but I think they got to figure out the quarterback, and I think they're another legit look at Teddy Bridgewater trade partner for the Jets. So if they get Bridgewater, that could fluctuate right there, but they're at 6.5, and right now with Tannehill coming off a knee injury, I think they're going to be down. That run game is questionable. I think Kenyon Drake is their number 1 running back. He's going to get hurt in week 2 if you're giving him the ball 30 times a game, and he's just not built for that. So I think they're under there. The Buccaneers go way under on their 6.5. Their best player is going to be out for 3 weeks. I don't see them winning 6 of their last 12 games. I think they're going to lose their first 3 weeks with Fitzpatrick under center. I don't think they're that good. I think their roster's a mess. I think they don't have the personnel people think they do, and I just don't think without Jameis, I think people are going to really finally see how good Jameis is this year and how much he means to that team, because they're going to really miss him this year. The Bengals, 7 games, under until they get rid of Andy Dalton. I'm going to say under. Nothing against Andy Dalton. I mean, I got the red in my beard too, but I mean, nothing against him. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I think they've been reaching on him. He can't win big games. If they're playing on Sunday or Monday night, just chalk it up for a loss. And I don't know where their run game is outside of A.J. Green and maybe Joe Mixon. Do they have a legitimate playmaker? That defense is questionable. Their best defensive player suspended for 3 to 4 games. What do you do? I mean, I think it's under. I think they're going to take a step back, and I think Andy Dalton will be on the move at the end of the year, or they'll just cut him and try to start over. I think that's where they are in a tough division. That the Browns are coming up. I think they're going to be worse than the Browns. I think the Browns are going to solidify themselves in 3rd in that division. There you go. I think it's under on that one. The Redskins, this is a very, very tough one. 7-9. How good do you think Kirk Cousins is? That's where you decide if you're going over or under on this. I think Kirk Cousins and Alex Smith are a lot of the same player. That backfield is awful. They added Adrian Peterson. What's he going to do? He's 33. He hasn't showed anything really in 2 years. What's he going to do? What's he's really going to help that much? Their best receivers, like Ryan Grant, I think. He's like 5'6". Like, you don't win like that in the NFL. Like, you got to have some legit weapons. But I also believe in Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith is a regular season quarterback. He's going to go and get it done. There's not great defenses in that division. The Giants have the potential to be great, but I don't think they are automatically great. But I think that's a push right there. I think they're 7-9. I think that's a pretty good thing, considering the other 3 teams in the division are really good, which brings me to the next team on the list. The Giants, 7 games. Pound the over. Pound the over. Pat Shermer is a master, and Eli feels like he's got something to prove. They got a running back that can, he's not going to be a bell cow. I don't want to hear this. He's going to carry it 30 times a game, and they're going to just run over. They're not built like that. But you get OBJ back. There you go. That's 2 wins in itself, honestly. And they have the best defense in the division outside of the Eagles, who may have the best defense in the league. So I believe in the Giants. I believe they're going to be 9-7. That's 7 wins, and they won like 2 games last year. There's no way they're that bad. And if they stay healthy, I think they're a 9-win team. I think they're right there battling for a playoff spot. I honestly think they can go 10-6, depending on because you got to remember they're playing the last place schedule in that division. A last place schedule with that talent, they're playing all the last place teams. So I really think they're going to be way over that. I think they got a chance to be 11-5 and kick out some teams that people think are going to be great. I think they're just going to kick them out. My favorite team, the Broncos, 7.5 wins. That's tough for me. I think we're better than that. I think that defense is going to be legit. Bradley Roby has not gotten enough love from anybody since he got drafted because he's the third corner. He was the third corner. Now, you have the best corner in the league, arguably, in Chris Harris. And then Bradley Roby's pretty good. I don't think you have much of a letdown from him from Aqib Talib last year. I think Bradley Roby can fill in fine. The safeties, as long as Will Parks and Justice Parker aren't hurt bad, like they came off the field in the last couple of preseason games. As long as they're not hurt bad, that defense can be good. And you're telling me defending offenses are really looking forward to facing Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, the best defender in the draft last year? Like, you get those two coming off the corner on 3rd and 7? You're going to see a lot of checkdowns. And with that flying defense and Brandon Marshall playing middle linebacker, I just think the Broncos defense is going to be right back up there in the top 5 again. And if Case Keenum's one thing, he's accurate. And you put accurate with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and then Sutton, the kid out of SMU they drafted this year, who's a big guy and can just go get balls. I'm pounding the over. I think they're going to win at least 8 games. I think they're 9-7 myself. If they go trade for Tyrod Taylor or Teddy Bridgewater, I think they're 10-6, honestly. The biggest question mark is the run game. Who's going to start at running back, and is this offensive line going to be able to block and protect the quarterback and get some sort of push against good front sevens to run the ball? If they can do that, I think the Broncos will be fine. I think they're 8-8, 9-7 myself in a division that is honestly pretty stacked. The AFC West is pretty good. Next, we'll go to the Lions. There's no way the Lions are winning 7.5 games. Name one guy that plays for the Lions that's not Matthew Stafford. You can't, because they lost everybody. Darius Slay, that's it. You got one on offense, one on defense. One good player on offense and one good player on defense isn't winning you 7.5 games. I think they're 5-11 at best, and with a new coach, I think they're back to a rebuild. I don't think they're as bad as they were, early 2000s, but I think they're back in a rebuild. Same with the Seahawks. That offensive line, awful. Those backs, awful. Those receivers outside of Doug Baldwin, a bunch of short guys. They lost Jimmy Graham. Like, I just don't like. I think the Seahawks are 7-9. I think they're the 3rd best team in the division. Just because I think Arizona is just a dumpster fire. I just don't know that they're any good either. I think the Seahawks are 6-10. They lost a bunch on defense, and I just don't like that roster at all. Outside of Russell Wilson, you can have the rest of the roster. That's the only one I want off the roster. So I just think they're not that good. The Colts finally took care of Andrew Luck. They went and drafted an offensive lineman. 7.5 wins. I think they're right there. He's not going to be great. Nobody takes 2 years off and is just right back into playing quarterback great. But he's probably the best talent to come in the league since Elway, probably. Elway, Marino, Peyton, Brady. Brady wasn't thought of like that early, but Andrew Luck is some kind of special. He's pretty crazy, and people kind of sleeping on him because he's been hurt. But he carried 2 awful teams to the AFC Championship game. Well, one to the AFC Championship game, and he made the playoffs in the other 2 years. So I mean, pretty crazy. They're going to win 8 games. Like, you give me him and a revamped offensive line with some sort of weapons on the outside, I don't love their receivers, but I could see them, winning 8 games. So I'm not. That one's kind of one I'd probably stay away from because I could see them being 7-9. But I don't know. I think that's a pretty good number. 8-8 right there for them. 9-7, probably a pretty good number. The Titans. I don't like the Titans. I don't think they're great running the ball. I don't think they're going to be great running the ball. Marcus Mariota's a mess, and he's one hit away from being out for the year. He's just, I was on the hype train last year. I drafted him as my first quarterback in one of my leagues in fantasy football, and I was like, yeah, it's his year. He's gonna run for 10 touchdowns, throw for 20, and he's only gonna throw 5 or 6, 7 picks, and he's gonna go back to the Mariota at Oregon. Wrong. And so, I don't love that roster. The defense is pretty good. A bunch of unknown guys, really. You can't really name any of them, but they're going to be solid on defense. But in that division, I think with Andrew Luck coming back, outside of Blake Bortles, I think they got the 3rd best quarterback, and I think they probably got the 4th best personnel right there with the Colts. The Colts defense isn't great, but it's, neither is the Titans, so you're kind of right there. So the Raiders, 8-8. They have them at 8-8. I think the Raiders are going to be under that. Everybody's on the Derek Carr hype train. Is he that good? If he was, they would have been better last year. They had 2 big receivers, Amari Cooper and Mike Crabtree, and they just kind of seemed to get stuck last year. New coach, is John Gruden really going to bring them 8 wins? He's been gone for 10 years. That's tough, and that defense is awful, and Khalil Mack might not play, or they may trade him. Yeah, I don't know that they're winning 8 games in a tough division. Let's see who's next. The Ravens, 8.5. I think it's over. I think this is a pound the over. I think the Ravens are going to win 10 games. And I'll tell you why. Because I think Joe Flacco is going to come back to form finally. Because he kind of got some pressure from the organization finally since he won the Super Bowl. They drafted Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is awful. I've watched the games. He's awful. But he is, he's finally got some pressure behind him. And if he doesn't play good, he's going to sit this year. Because those fans are going to want to see Lamar if they don't play good. So I think Joe Flacco's going to have a good year. That defense is physical. That offensive line is physical with Marionda back. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to win 10 games. So I think that's an over. The Chiefs. The Chiefs lands on one person and one person only. And he's the quarterback. And I watched him play a bunch of football. Being here from West Texas, I live 30 minutes from where Patrick Mahomes played quarterback. I watched every Tech game. I'm a huge Tech fan. Tech and Notre Dame, only college football I watch. Pretty much. Well, I watch a bunch of college football, but those are the teams I care about. And I watched Patrick Mahomes his whole college career. The dude's got a cannon, and he's got the receivers to go and get it, and a great tight end for what he likes to do because Kelsey loves to run up the seam and loves to go deep, but he's got to find a way to take care of the football. I'll tell you that he does. He's going to make some reckless plays, but I think he's just as good as Alex Smith. He plays a lot different, but if I trust someone in the NFL with quarterbacks, it's probably Andy Reid. And Andy Reid has the confidence to give him the keys. I think you're going to see some big things out of them. I think, 8-5 or 8.5 wins, that may be a little high. 8-8, I don't like their defense. They traded away their best defensive player. They lost Tamba Hali. I don't think that defense is going to be good enough to win 8 games. So I'm probably going to go under or win 9 games because it's 8.5. I think they're going to win 8 games. And I think people are going to be really impressed with Mahomes, but I think they're going to come up just short of the 9-win mark because that division is tough. Like I said, that division is real tough. And you get Mahomes running around and Bradley Chubb and Von Miller running after him, or the Chargers, you got Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram running after him. I think he's going to make some mistakes in those games. And so I just think that's one of those things. If he makes too many mistakes, they're going to go 8-8. Sometimes he's going to be great. Sometimes he's not going to be so great. Just depends on what his receivers can do. The Cowboys, 8-5, 8.5 wins. You going to tell me Zeke's going to be healthy all year? I may give you 9 wins. I'm not as high as most people on the Cowboys. That defense isn't that good. They got some good pass rushers, but if Sean Lee is all out like he is every year, they're not that good. That defense just isn't that good. So, 9 wins for the Cowboys. If Zeke's healthy, maybe that offensive line is legit, but they suffered some injuries. I'm not a big Dak fan. It's Dink and Dunk Dak. I think if you the league is an underneath league, but you got to stretch the field sometimes. And that receiving core, who's any good on it? They have Tavon Austin, who's a special teams guy. That guy's going to start for him. So is that receiving core really that good? I don't know. They got rid of Dez, which should help their locker room, I guess. But outside of that, who's on that receiving core that you know? Mr. Rapper. You're just going to stay at home. But anyway, I just don't. 8-8, 9-7, maybe 10 wins in that division. I think they're the third best team in that division. I think the Giants are better than them, and I think obviously the Eagles are better than them. They got a way better roster. You know what I mean? I just think it's a better roster. And I personally higher on the Giants defense. If Eli don't throw picks, they're better than the Cowboys. That's just the simple fact. And so, if they can figure out their run game, and that's the thing. Is Zeke going to be healthy? Is the Giants going to figure out their run game? It's a toss-up. Which one do you think is going to happen? That's who you think is going to be second in that division. It's going to be fight, and the Cowboys like to lose to the Giants at home, so they don't like to play the Giants. So we'll see. Let's see who's next. The 49ers, 8.5 wins. Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo haven't lost a game together. Kyle Shanahan is who I wanted the Broncos to hire, not Vance Joseph. And this is the reason why. Because he is a genius. There's a reason that the Falcons, a year after he left, the offense couldn't seem to figure out how to score or how to get the first down on third down. The dude is a genius. He's an offensive genius. And in this league, especially like the Broncos who have the defense figured out, go hire an offensive coach and figure out the offense. And you're a Super Bowl contender. But no, we went and hired a defensive guy, and now here I am back on this rant. But I don't know why you do that. I don't know. And I think that defense is legit. They got some injuries early in the preseason, but I don't know how many they lost for the year. My brother and my dad are big 49er fans, so we watch quite a bit of the 49ers in my household. We try to, they both are 49er fans, so I think they win 10 games. 9 to 10 games, I think that's not a stretch. That personnel's pretty good. Garoppolo if he's what they paid for him, he better win 10 games. That's what I'm saying. He's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. You better win 10 games. Just saying. I don't care who you're playing with. The Texans, 8.5. Over. Jacksonville isn't going to be as good as they were, which is going to spoil the people coming up. But Jacksonville's not going to be that good. The Texans are going to win 9 games, at least 9 games. Deshaun Watson is good enough to win 9 games. I promise you. If they can somewhat figure out how to get Lamar Miller running the ball towards the end zone, not side to side, and they can block, and that defense comes back, J.J. Watt is coming back. That's one of the best defenders in the league. You give me one of the best defenders back in the league, and maybe the best playmaker at the quarterback position, as in running and throwing from the pocket. I think you're going to win 9 games at least. I think they're better than a lot of these teams coming up, and so you give me 9 wins, I think I'm pounding the over on that. I think they're going to win 10 games. Got probably the best quarterback in the division. The second best defense in the division, maybe. But they got the best receivers in the division, by far. DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. You give me those two. They added Kiki Kuti, who's going to start in the slot probably for them from Tech. I think they're going to win 11 games. I think they're going to be pretty good. You bring back 2 really good Pro Bowl defenders in J.J. Watt and their middle linebacker, Whitney Merciless. You give me those 2 guys back and you tell me that defense isn't going to be better, they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to win 11 games or so. The Panthers, 9 wins. Not sold on Cam. Just not. That receiving core is awful. Not sold on them. They're going to run the ball good, but kind of the same thing with the Dolphins earlier. Christian McCaffrey's your best back. You really going to pound it in there with Christian McCaffrey like you have the last couple of years? Or are you going to put it on Cam's shoulders to pound it up the middle? It doesn't work in the NFL for very long. I'm telling you, Cam's big and he's durable, but you pound it up the middle with Cam every play for 16 weeks, it's going to take a toll. And I just don't know that they're a 9-win football team. I think they're 8-8. That's a tough division. You got the Saints and the Falcons in that division. Yeah, I just don't think they're a 9-win team. Give me 8-8. Yeah, I think you're pounding the under on 9 for the Panthers. That defense is still good, but where are their weapons on offense? I don't see it this year for them. The Jaguars are taking a big step back. They got them at 9 wins. I think they're less than that. That defense is okay, but they made a bunch of, you don't have a turnover margin like they had last year, and you don't win 10 games back-to-back years with Blake Bortles playing as your quarterback. I'm sorry. They reached for him 4 or 5 years ago whenever they drafted him at number 3. Way big of a reach. And he's not a 10-win quarterback. And they're at 9 wins. I think they're not. That's probably pretty close. That defense is good, but if you can move the ball, and they got to play Deshaun Watson and Andrew Luck twice a year. Good luck with that. And then, on your off weeks, they can't beat Minnesota, or they can't beat Tennessee. They lost to them twice last year. I don't know. That division is kind of up in the air. I think they're all kind of the same. I think Tennessee and the Colts and Jacksonville are all kind of the same. Could all end up at 8-8, right around there. I think that's where they're at. Oh, Chargers. Bye. You give me as much stock as the Chargers as I can. My uncle's a big Chargers fan. We were out in Vegas a couple months ago, and I was telling him, man, you go put some money on the Chargers to make Super Bowl. It's going to happen, man. I am a Broncos fan to the core, but, man, that roster is good. And Phillip Rivers is underrated, man. Boy, he gets such a bad rap. Reminds me of Tony Romo. Every time something happens, it's his fault. And it's just not his fault sometimes, I don't love their receivers, but I think their receivers are capable. And they got a good running back, a good offensive line, good left tackle, probably the best personnel in the league outside of the Rams and the Eagles, both in the NFC. So I think they're, I'm pounding 9.5. They're winning 11 games. I'm just telling you, as long as nothing major happens, they're winning 11 games with that pass rush. And Phillip Rivers at quarterback, you got the two most important spots on the field. Quarterback, established, can win games. And pass rusher. And they got 2 legit pass rushers. Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram going to just wreck people this year. That division probably has the best pass rushers in the league. Like all 4 of them. Outside of J.J. Watt, maybe, I'd take those 4 over anybody. Like, if Bradley Chubb's as good as people say they are and he's looked through the preseason, give me those 4 over anybody. And, and then on your off weeks, you got to face the Chiefs and the Raiders. Who wants to go really face the Raiders? Because they could really win a bunch of games, or, they could win no games. But, it's one of those things. I think that 9.5 is a low number for them. I think they're going to win 11 games or so. So, pound the over on them. Saints, I think the Saints could take it on the chin early in the year. They're without Melvin Ingram. And, not Melvin Ingram. Mark Ingram, there you go. Running back out of Alabama. Drafted a couple years ago. They're without him. They were, everybody's like, Alvin Kamara, so good. Was he really? Kind of a 1-2 punch with, he scored a lot of touchdowns, but Mark Ingram kind of, bigger part of that than people want to give him credit for. And he's suspended for the first 3 games, I believe. So, I don't know. I think they could take a step back. 9.5 is an interesting number. I think they're going to win 9 games. 9-10, that's a tough division. You got the Panthers. The Bucks suck, but you got to play the Falcons twice. I'm high on the Falcons. I think that's pretty good. I think, 9-10 games, and Drew Brees is just amazing. I don't care how old that guy is. He's just as good as when he started playing. Brother just looks crazy out there. He's 5'9" or 5'10", whatever, and just making people look stupid. Making people like Ted Ginn, lifetime freaking backup and return specialists, look like all-star receivers. And the dude's just amazing. And I think that defense is legit. And I think they could be, that 9-10 wins. Vegas gets them right. I think they're 9-10 wins. The Falcons, I think, win 11 games. I think they do. I think Sark, in his second year, gets the offense a little figured out. They had a whole year to plan, and I think they finally figured it out. I think Matt Ryan is I don't think he's a star quarterback. I don't think he's like someone you want to pay $40 million to, but I also think he's, start for 90% of the league. Outside of Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and Garoppolo, maybe, or Jared Goff, there's Carson Wentz, there's a couple in there, he's probably not going to start in front of, but there's 25 teams, you're going to give me Matt Ryan. I'm like, sign me up for that, I've been a Matt Ryan fan since he came out of Boston College, and I know he's not the best player ever, but I think he gets a bad rep, and so I think they're going to be right there. 9.5 is what they got them at. 10 to 11 wins, I think. I think you're going to want to go over. Rams at 10 wins, man, that's tough. 10 wins. The Rams probably have the second best personnel in the league. But that's a bunch of divas in that locker room. That's a bunch of head cases. Sean McVay is young. It's going to be a tough room to command. And so 10 wins, that's going to be tough. But if they put the talent they got together, they'll win 12 games easily. Gurley don't get hurt, they could win 13. But that's a tough division. You got to play the Seahawks twice. You got to go to Seattle. That's never easy. You got to go to San Francisco. You got to play Jimmy Garoppolo. But they got some good pass rushers. And as long as they get the Aaron Donald thing figured out, Aaron Donald's probably the best defender in the league. They get that figured out, they're probably going to win 10 games at least. So I'm going to say go with the over. But I'm questionable. Give me that one. Might be one that I go back on, depending on how I see the first couple of weeks go. Let's see how Sean McVay kind of meshes everybody together. See what Wade Phillips can do with that defense, and then we'll see. They got Marcus Peters, they got Aqib Talib, and Ndamukong Suh. Those are three big old egos, man. Big egos. So they're gonna struggle to mesh all them together. Let's see who's next. The Vikings. I think the Vikings take a step back. I'm not high on Kirk Cousins. I think he's okay, but is he that much better than Case Keenum and Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater? I don't know. That defense was abnormally healthy last year. That's why they were good. You don't have turnover margin of plus 27 again in a year. It just don't happen. I think they take a step back. I think you're going to go under on the 10 wins. I mean, if it's 10.5, I'm for sure going under. They're not winning 11 games. Not in that division. They're probably going to lose twice to the Packers. Packers are good. The Lions could sneak up on somebody. You got Matthew Stafford. Anything can happen. And then, the Bears, that's the only thing that's going to help them. But they're playing a first-place schedule, so they got to play the good teams. So they already got 6 people hurt the other day in their second preseason game on defense. 3 on defense, 3 on offense. You're going to get Dalvin Cook back eventually, but, I don't know. I think 10 wins could be pretty close for them. The Packers. Packers are going to win the division. I don't care what you say. Packers are going to win the division. They got the best quarterback in the league. Now, don't give me this Brady thing. They got the best quarterback in the league. Brady does the best. Brady has the best system. Aaron Rodgers is the best arm talent, best quarterback, smartest guy in the league. He's just a genius, man. That dude's crazy. He's so good. People forget how good he is because he got hurt last year. But that dude is good. You ain't getting better than him. He's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, I promise. If he can get 1 or 2 more Super Bowls, he's going to probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer anyway, but if he gets 1 or 2 more Super Bowls, probably talking about him with all the greatest. I'm just telling you. Dude's got immaculate arm talent. And they're going to win 10.5 games. They're going to win 11 games. At least. Add Jimmy Graham. Dude, you tell me Jimmy Graham ain't happy to go back to a pass-first offense? He hated Seattle. He's ready, I promise you. He's going to get. Look at him as probably tight end 1. Him and Gronk right there. I'm telling you. Going into a pass-first offense, dude's going to be pretty good. He's going to be a big red zone threat for Aaron Rodgers. The Eagles, 10.5. That's another one. They got a bunch of egos, and they got a bunch of people thinking they can just run their mouth. And like it or not, they kind of came out of nowhere last year. And nobody was really saying, oh, the Eagles are Super Bowl favorites. Nah, now you're getting shot for by everybody. And they haven't looked that great in the preseason. And Carson Wentz is coming off an injury. And then Nick Foles got hurt the other day. And, they're holding Carson Wentz into 7-on-7 only because he was having some discomfort. They're one quarterback away from being like everybody else in the league. You lose your starter and then you lose your backup behind your starter. You're kind of, back in the first 5 picks of the draft the next year. So, 10.5, that's a tough division, dude. I'm telling you, that's probably a 10-win football team, I think. Everybody's huge on they're not going to sneak up on people. That front 7 is legit, though. So I would probably say they're going to win at least 11 games. That front 7 is probably the best in the league. That defense is probably the best in the league. And then you give me Carson Wentz, MVP, they're probably going to win 11 games. So I guess I'll swing to the over, but I could see it really happening where they win less than 11 games. And 10.5, that's probably one I'd stay away from. Steelers 10.5, they're going to win 11 games. I promise you. Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, they're winning 10.5 games. They get to play the Browns twice a year. That's worth 2 wins. You know what I mean? They're going to smash the Browns in week 1. And then they play them again like week 7 when Baker's probably going to be playing, and they're going to smash them again. They're always good. They're just always good. And outside of them and the Ravens, they're going to smash the Bengals twice, too, because the Bengals are awful, too. So, I'd pretty much give them 4 wins right off the bat. You can tell me they're not going to win 7 more? And give me that. And the Patriots at 11. I don't think they're winning 11 games. That front 7, outside of Hightower, can you name one of them? No. Ain't that good. And their corners, not that good. Safeties, not that good. McCourty's pretty good, but 1 defensive player, 2 maybe. And you got Brady throwing to a bunch of guys that were sacking groceries last year. Chris Hogan's their first receiver, like their number 1 guy. You're telling me they're going to win 11 games? I don't think so. Brady and Belichick are fighting. Kraft's pissed because now they traded away Garoppolo, and now Brady's like, I don't know if I want to play 5 years now. I'm not wanting to retire next year. And they're like, we just sold the whole franchise for you. You wanted to play 5 years, now you want to play 1. And I'm like, I just traded the guy that's supposed to replace you. And now I got to go find another one to replace you because I traded the guy that was supposed to replace him. Because Jacoby Brissett's gone, too. And he's a legit starter in the league eventually. And you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? And so I think they win 10 games. The East is awful, man. The Jets, dumpster. They could make some moves to make them not one, but they're pretty much a dumpster. That offensive line's awful. The Dolphins, awful. The Bills, starting a rookie. They're going to win probably 5 or 6 games in that division. So, but outside of that, who are they beating? Brady's good, and I know not to question him, but 11 wins. 11 win. That's. They have to win 6 in division to get to 11, I think. And if you get 11, it's just a push. So I think you stay away from that one too. So let's go with who I think will be in the AFC Championship game. I obviously told you to pound the Chargers. I told you I was big on the Chargers. So obviously I'm going to put the Chargers in there. And I think the Steelers. Ben's looks like he's ready to win another one. I could see somewhere where, the Texans sneak up and, slide in there. But I don't know. Deshaun Watson, you got to do it first, I guess. And Big Ben, and you got the best receiver in football in Antonio Brown, and one of the best running backs in football in Le'Veon Bell. Give me the Steelers. Give me the Chargers. Let's go duke it out. And then in the NFC, give me the Rams. Talent wins in the NFL. That's what you get, the most talent on the team, you win. That's how it happens. Give me the Rams. They got the best, one of the best in the league. And let's see. It's going to shock people, but give me the Packers. I'm telling you, like Randall Cobb, if they can figure out their running back situation and get some kind of push on the offensive line, I've heard Khalil Mack rumors with them too. They get him coming off the edge. Clinton Dix in the back, in the secondary. Clay Matthews playing linebacker. You know, he got the best quarterback in the league. That's a legit team. So I think you're giving me the Rams and the Packers. And I think you might see an all-LA final, all-LA Super Bowl. You got a chance, I'm telling you. The Rams and the Chargers could be all-LA in the Super Bowl. That'd be crazy. One city, all the Super Bowl teams. And that would be crazy. You know, you get the Rams and the Chargers, and, you know, everybody was like, oh, the Chargers are moving because nobody likes them. And they get a chance to be in the Super Bowl. And San Diego is going to be like, oh, if they make the Super Bowl, they're going to be real pissed. They're going to be like, we let them leave for that? You know, no. I think it could be an all-LA Super Bowl. So, you want to take my picks? I think you're going to go Chargers to make the playoffs, probably win their division. Rams probably going to win their division. Get a first-round bye. You know, the Chargers got to find a way to get past the Patriots and the Steelers, but I like their personnel, and I like their pass rush, and I like their quarterback. Rams got Jared Goff. As long as he don't take a step back, still plays like last year. Gurley's a beast. I think it could be an all-LA final. There's some teams that could sneak up and get in there, but that's who I like as of right now. We'll do some more updates coming up. Next one will probably be over the NBA. Bunch of stuff happening in the NBA, so we got to go over that. Hopefully I'll be getting some guests on to do some of these with. This one was long. Sorry, 45 minutes. I mean, sorry. It was long. There's 30 teams, and, you know, you got to talk at least a couple minutes on a couple of them. And so, you know, I hope you like it. If you like it, smash the like button. Subscribe for me. You know, leave some comments. Ask me some questions. I'll do a video. I'll answer your questions. I ain't got that many subscribers. I promise you I'll see them. So, thanks for stopping by. T-Rex out.